Welcome to Screensavers. I'm Julitha Amara.
And I'm Darren Mort. Tonight we bring you a Melbourne-based series made by and for emerging media professionals.
Each week we zero in on one of the many topics causing buzz in the biz, with news interviews and hot takes from our team. Tonight, social engineering. Our reporters juggle three hot potatoes at the frontiers of modern media.
And taking an in-depth look at media control and social engineering. Later in the show, we cross live to Chicago for a special investigation into media diversity.
But first, a wake-up call. You're scared, but are you scared enough? Our next segment suggests that your children's minds are being deliberately warped and manipulated, and there may be nothing you can do to help them. Callum McKay does the deep dive into our relationship with messages in the media and the implications it's having for future generations.
Shamath Palihapitiya, founder and CEO of Social Circle and former Facebook executive, warns about the unintended consequences of social media during his view on the top talk held at the Stanford Graduate School of Business in 2017. I want to bring us back to the point that you were making about
exploiting consumer behavior in a consumer internet business. You said that this is a time for soul searching in social media businesses, and you were part of building the largest one. What soul searching are you doing right now on that?
I feel tremendous guilt. It literally is a point now where I think we have created tools that are ripping apart the social fabric of how society works. That is truly where we are. And I would encourage all of you as the future leaders of the world to really internalize how important this is. The short-term dopamine-driven feedback loops that we have created are destroying how society works. No civil discourse, no cooperation, misinformation, mistruth. And it's not an American problem. This is not about Russian ads. This is a global problem. You know, bad actors can now manipulate large swaths of people to do anything you want. Your behaviors, you don't realize it, but you are being programmed. It was unintentional. But now you got to decide how much you're willing to give up, how much of your intellectual independence. And don't think, oh yeah, not me, I'm fucking genius, I'm at Stanford. You're probably the most likely to fucking fall for it. Because you were fucking checkboxing your whole goddamn life. No offense, guys.
None taken.
How often do you lay awake at night, scrolling without a care? Does it matter that this has become so commonplace? Don't you miss sleeping? I know I do. We progressively offload our thinking to the little black boxes that have attached themselves to our hips. Symbiosis. Eating your personal information at every opportunity and signaling your attention with the sound of a bell like one of Pavlov's dogs. The news. Blatant fear-mongering as usual, doing their best to direct the populace towards ascertaining specified goals, usually voting a particular way. How much did you hate the opposite of whatever political wing you support? How much do you know about policies? Do you know any? Should you care that you barrack for a team in a sport that you have no idea how to play? Fun fact, did you know that one man, Rupert Murdoch, owns roughly 70% of all Australian, UK and American news media? Did you know he appeared in Jeffrey Epstein's little black book? Isn't that terrifying? Doesn't that worry you?
We should approach climate change with great skepticism. Climate change has been going on as long as the planet is here, and there'll always be a little bit of it. At the moment, the North Pole is melting a bit, but the South Pole is getting bigger. Things are happening, but how much are we doing with emissions and so on? Well, as far as Australia goes, nothing in the overall picture. China does, but if you're talking about environment and health and smoke and so on, of course, we're all environmentalists. We all want clean air. But in terms of the world's temperature going up, the worst aspect, the most alarmist things have said maybe 3%, 3 degrees centigrade in 100 years.
Really proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about the troubling trend of irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
Plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 Well, that was interesting, wasn't it?
That was a pretty scary video, to be honest.
Yeah, what gets me is the amount of misinformation out there and the impact that that has on people.
Yeah, the direct impact that it's actually having on our kids and our adolescents, what they think is real and what they don't think, you know, what right from wrong even, their morals have been changed.
Yep.
Where they get all their information, you know, they're growing up with this at the forefront.
Yeah, and turning it around, people who feel the need to put how they feel on social media and share it with the world.
I mean, there is a fine line because I actually think that that can be quite constructive in certain areas where people speak up about violence or their experience with certain things.
Sure.
However, there is a lot of people out there, probably the majority of people that just feel the need to share everything. And I don't think that that's healthy. I don't think it's a healthy message.
That's when I just start scrolling like this.
Yeah, and that's what happens. But you don't stop scrolling, do you? You keep on scrolling.
Yeah, you do keep on scrolling. Speaking of which...
Moving on, media diversity. Film and television production companies have been racking their brains in recent years looking to capitalise on the latest craze, representation. We all know it matters, so why is it so fucking hard to get it right?
We cross now to Chicago to join our special war zone correspondent, Johnny Mack, with a report on representation and media diversity.
Get down, get down. Get down, get down. Get down, get down. It's
Benny and the Jets.
Soul Train. It's almost hard to believe it was even real. We are coming to you now from the defunct home of Soul Train. Perhaps the most iconic piece of American television ever, Soul Train made its home here in a Chicago studio now more than 50 years ago. For 35 years, this hallowed studio played host to a full plethora of the modern musical who's who, from Frankie Valli and Snoop Doggy Dogg, to Al Jarreau, Aretha Franklin, and even the Dogfather himself, George Clinton and the Parliament Funkadelic.
so I can pass by. You stayed not a single way.
Wait, can you let me know before we start rolling next time? Alright. Now, some would say it was ahead of its time.
I guess you could call it ahead of its time.
But it has its critics.
No, I don't like it. Because it's promoting something, okay, that is not natural.
And with those kind of testimonials, and the level of inclusion and tribulation seen here in these hallowed halls, it's easy to see why some say Soul Train should be considered the peak of modern media diversity. Making its start as a special roadshow, and eventually finding a home for itself here, at what was back then just an upstart UHF station. With the help of a lucrative sponsorship deal from department store giant Sears, it would soon grow to become not only a cornerstone of American home entertainment, but a gold standard of media diversity for decades to come. More contemporary attempts at radical media diversity have left more to be desired. Through our own extensive research, we found the most diverse programs here in Australia are actually current affair programs.
The notorious Apex gang, ISIS-inspired knife attack.
It's an apex hunting ground.
Terror attacks in Australia.
Punch, punch, punch. We're not safe. We're definitely not safe.
So I sent out my chihuahua to ask the people at A Current Affair how they always manage to stay at the cutting edge of social progress. Clearly incredibly evasive there. So we took to the streets to find out what media diversity means to our community.
Media diversity, that makes me think about a bunch of white people. And they think diversity is a split of 50-50 male-female. That is not diversity. That is not what we are as a people, I feel.
Now that's what I call irrefutable. And so, despite all the confusion, maybe one thing is clear. Maybe it's time to bring back the Soul Train. Bigger and badder than ever.
How good was Soul Train?
I love
How
Soul
much
Train.
of an impact did it have on society and just culture in general? The diversity, the art, the expression.
The struggle.
It was, yeah, well, the struggle. They had to fight for those rights. They had to set that as the standard for other people to learn from it.
A lot of brave people.
Yes, life-changing. We had an immense amount of incredible artists that were on that, and it really did shape everything.
It did shape everything, but sometimes I wonder whether it's all gone a bit skewed.
In what sense do you think that it's gone skewed?
Well, I just think that they were a landmark. They drew a line in the sand and moved forward. And sometimes I just think that we're all politically correct and we've got these so-called rights, but sometimes I think governments undermine those rights.
Well, that's a good point of view.
It is a good point of view.
Yes. Alrighty, next up we have the devil.
Is that me? Oh no, it must be. Oh my God, did you bring my wife in?
That's a bit misogynistic. Anyways, Rupert Murdoch, just like cancer, is popping up everywhere. If we have not freaked you out enough tonight, our business analyst Ricky Rooney has a confronting report to finish the job.
Hi there, and welcome to All Strings Attached, where we explore with you the possibility that what we are exposed to in modern media is manipulating our day-to-day decisions and in turn is shaping who we are and how we function in society. From social media to national newscasters and even cinema, how much of it is engineered to sway our preferences on products, politics, and even individual people? When is the social engineering considered to be dangerous? There have been severe repercussions in countless instances around the world in which society has suffered from manipulation through modern media tactics. Just look at Myanmar and the political overthrow and violence committed through social manipulation over the social media platform Facebook. Facebook has been a big player in the social engineering game ever since it spewed onto the scene in 2004 and rapidly gained public approval, appreciation and respect. Younger generations have even begun to rely on social media platforms like Facebook to deliver their daily dose of news. So I ask you, when is enough enough? Look at the constant bombardment of disinformation from fake Russian accounts on media platforms like Twitter and Facebook in attempts to destabilize the economic climate and build civil tension in America, especially during the 2016 election and throughout Trump's term as president. The guys over at Vox interviewed Darrell West at the Center of Innovative Technology to try and gain an understanding on Russia's agenda during this time.
Russia wants to destabilize Western democracies. The Russian effort stands out just in terms of the financing behind it and the level of organization that we saw in this campaign.
Even looking into our own backyard at the vice grip that the Murdoch media has on Australia. Take a look at what our own ex-Prime Minister had to say about the Murdoch Mafia.
If you do not bend the knee and do what Mr. Murdoch wants or shut up, then he comes after you and attacks you, denigrates you, with the object of delegitimizing you over time. And I've had many years of experience of it. That's the cancer on democracy in our country, Australia.
In fact, News Corp, which is owned by the Murdoch media, owns Sky News, The Australian, Sydney's The Daily Telegraph, Melbourne's Herald Sun, Brisbane's The Courier Mail, Adelaide's The Advertiser, NT News, and Tasmania's Mercury. They own 70% of Australia's print media alone. It also runs Australia's second largest digital website, news.com.au. Murdoch is a controlling shareholder in Foxtel and owns free-to-air channel Win and radio channels like Nova 100 and Smooth FM. These are platforms in which News Corp is free to push their biased opinions on social political issues and have huge repercussions on our nation's society. This is dangerous social manipulation. This issue needs national attention and a serious focus on education on how we are being engineered by the media. These giants will not stop. I ask you, my audience, educate yourselves, educate your friends, educate your children. The only chance we have as a society to reclaim honesty and integrity within the media is to stand and fight against these... what was that?
Shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down now.
Was it just too much information for people to have their own point of view?
What, you think they can't handle it, or they can't articulate themselves in society? Because I actually think it's good that they can do that. I think that, you know, yes, it's overstimulating in so many different ways, but it gives a platform to people that really do need it.
Unless that platform is based on bias.
Well, I mean,
Isn't that what he was just saying? With all this information, Rupert Murdoch seems to hold the reins and creates a way of thinking that may cause, I don't know, confirmation bias with people.
I think what I meant was, a platform for the people. I think Murdoch needs to go. I meant a platform for the people to speak a voice. Yes, no. Murdoch needs to go. Yes, I'm glad I clarified that too. No, I don't agree at all with Murdoch. I don't think anyone should have that much power, especially over something that is so directly affecting society and the message that it sends.
Agree. Well, take a deep breath and look, that was all very exciting. That's all we have time for tonight, but please tune in next week for more screensavers and tales of interest. Thank you and good night.
Good night.